now we're recording.
Because I just started recording.
Yeah. Well, thank you to our sponsors for this brand new microphone that I have. Hopefully.
No. Well, okay, yes, actually, yes, you're right. Yes, but
Okay.
McCarrey Counseling did,
Yes.
yes.
Thank you to our.
Sorry, I got
I
because we talked. Go ahead. This is great.
Okay.
We're going to keep all of this in.
We know. We know that naturally I'm a pretty soft talker, and so I had this headset that had a microphone coming about midway through to my chin, and that would not pick up picking up the puffs, but it would pick up not everything that I said. And so thanks to our sponsor, McCarrey Counseling, that I now have this microphone that hopefully can pick up all of my consonants. This is a red letter day in the world of Emotional Men podcast, so that you can hear all of one of the presenter's words.
Yes. I, as a man, feel emotional listening to you talk.
Well, good. Well, hopefully you'll get even deeper so now that I have this this microphone.
Yeah, it's great. I will say that it is always also. Oh, Pete, why did you turn the light off?
Mood lighting.
It is also worth saying real quick, a huge thank you to Andy Mayer, who is not a sponsor, who works at Logitech, who is not a sponsor. But Andy Mayer was extremely helpful in getting these microphones picked out and figured out and shipped. And so, Andy, you're a real mensch, a real man among men.
Thanks, Andy. I appreciate that. We also got a few responses in our emails from our floating the first podcast episode, which I also appreciate. Some people put in some good input.
Did you? What, really?
Yeah,
what?
Go check the email. Someone responded.
Really? What'd they say? I'm so... Oh, wow. How exciting. I had no idea. Who was it?
It was somebody you gave the podcast to.
Oh, Jeff. Yes. Jeff was... Yes. Okay. I did see that.
So thank you to Jeff.
Yes. Jeff is a good guy. If you can't see it on my wall over that way, I don't even know what my camera can see right now. Over that way is a picture Jeff drew. Jeff is a guy who does graphic design work for Boeing. And I met him in Seattle, and he goes and he sees bands, and he draws the bands in the space of one song. And he actually went and saw me play a show and drew me and my band, and so I have it hanging on my office wall.
Oh, that's great. What a great thing.
I love Jeff.
Work fast.
He and I used to do a thing called Pie Night. Yeah, he's real good. Like 4 minutes, he'll draw the entire band. And what's crazy about it is he'll get the shape of the body. Like I look at that and I go, that looks like me. It looks not like a guy looking like me playing guitar, but it looks like the way I stand. It's fantastic. Bless you. Thank you, mute button.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you to Jeff.
Yes.
Thank you to Andy.
Yes. Do you want to know how many streams? Have you seen how many streams we have, Pete? How many people actually care about us?
No. I look on YouTube and I see you posted yesterday. You posted our first episode yesterday, which was a great, very exciting. We get to go live on this. But I saw...
Very accidental, by the way. I did not mean to.
What? We've been doing this purposefully for a while. Anyway,
I thought, anyway,
the only thing that I saw was we had four views last night. Is probably the last thing I saw.
We are up to 9 total views, 6 from YouTube, 3 from Spotify. We're almost double digits in people who probably still don't care, but we did it, Pete.
Yeah, awesome. We're very excited. Yes, we have that one episode.
Ready to rake in the literal ones of dollars to be made in podcasting.
Well, maybe. I have a unrelated YouTube channel, and the requirements for any monetization is high. It's like gifted millions of people and thousands of views and stuff like that. So we're optimistic.
Yeah. I'm not holding my breath for this to ever mean anything to anybody but me and you.
Okay.
But I will say, and I've said it so many times to you, Pete, like it's just having the excuse to talk to you is really...
You know what? I wouldn't mind hearing someone talk to their friend for an hour at any given time either. I think that would be a fun thing to listen to.
Yeah, I think so. I think for me, I haven't seen you in person.
Ooh,
it's been a long time. Long time. It's a sad thing. So I'd love to see you again in person. But I mean, like, I've always enjoyed talking to you. So getting to do it once a week about stuff that we're both semi-knowledgeable about.
Yeah. I think one of the synopses you wrote for our podcast was we were friends before we were therapists or something. I was like, holy cow, that's right. Taylor and I are
Yeah.
literally colleagues in this field, but we were friends for, a dozen years before that. That's pretty darn
Yeah.
cool.
It's sweet. Sweet, baby.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was interested in, if not a little bit it was a little bit daunting approaching the topic for this week, but I know you're going to be doing most of the heavy lifting. I found a little bit, some interesting aspects of what we're talking about, but really I'm interested in your take.
You might take. Well, Pete, what are we talking about
Well,
this
this
week?
week we're going to be talking about emotional control, and I think the premise we're working with is it's impossible to control your emotions. You can't control
That
them.
is correct. Emotions are impossible to control, and there's so much implication behind all that. And I love it. And I love having this conversation with people because every time I do it, at the beginning, like, no, you're wrong. You're very wrong. At the end, like, oh my gosh, you're totally right. I love it because I like being right, Pete. I like making people feel like they were idiots before they knew me, and then now they have tapped into like some
Well,
genius,
it sounds like
and
then
I am that
a lot
genius.
of what we're gonna we all knew that going in. If people just knew that when they started talking to you, it'd be a lot easier. But
Yes.
it sounds like then what we're talking about today is going to be really definition heavy. We got to talk about what emotions are, and what emotional control your perspective of what emotional control actually is. Because
Hmm.
admittedly, my definition, my understanding of emotional control changed wildly before I came into the field. I mean, before learning about it and then after working with people. Um, so I want to tell you what I think, what we're going to talk about, and then you
Please,
tell
yeah.
me
I'll tell you why you're
why I'm
wrong.
wrong. Like in episode
I'm very
one.
humble, by the
No,
way.
no, no. You're just a bully. That's fine. So,
Shut up.
um, I just had the image of this polar bear towering over me with white hair saying, "Shut up." And I just want to pat it on its nose and say, "You're so funny." Anyway,
I have some color left in my hair. I'm not fully white. I mean, I'm super white as a person. Like I'm like white nerdy white,
yeah.
but my hair has some blonde left in it. Anyway, you were saying,
Oh,
Peter.
yes. So, um, emotion. My understanding of emotion is what I feel, and I can my feelings and my expression of those feelings have no separation. If my emotion then is frowning and crying, that's you being emotional.
Hmm.
Like when they say you're very emotional is when you're crying, and you can't be emotional unless you demonstrate you're emotional, like
Hmm.
somebody who's crying, you are emotional. Um
To which I say, real quick, jumping in,
yeah.
does that mean that if somebody is silently seething, they are not emotional because they're not expressing it?
Yeah, I don't think, well, personally, I haven't heard it that way. And like before becoming a therapist, I would say, well, yeah, they have really good emotional control. Um, that they're silently seething. They're keeping it together. And so we're talking about emotions and then emotional control. So emotional control for me would be that seething. If somebody is seething and I see their fists balled up and they're at their sides, and I know what they're angry about, and they refuse to yell or scream, then it's kind of like, oh wow, they have really good emotional control. I can tell they want to punch the wall, but they're not. Good for them, kind of thing.
Hmm. So what do you think emotion is now?
I think emotion now is uh, what is feeling. I think it's a psychosomatic response to a stimulus. I think it's
Okay.
just a natural occurrence from your brain and your body to whatever beliefs that you have, and they'll come up and they'll go down, way down, or they'll come way up based on what you believe about the situation. But
Hmm.
yeah, I really think
So
a lot of
yeah,
times they're unbidden.
I think you and I are on the same page with that. Emotions are not things that necessarily we choose. Um, I mean, like, but kind of my approach to this, my baseline is if we could choose our emotions, why would anyone ever choose to be sad
Yeah,
or anxious
absolutely.
or to, everyone would just choose to be happy, and we can't. And that's when I say emotions, we can't control our emotions. That's what I'm talking about. It's kind of like people who say they can control their weight. No, you can't. There's no way you can control your weight. And I'll prove it to you right now, Pete. Do you think you can control your weight?
um,
To trick.
I no,
You look like you're getting caught.
yes, I can control my weight.
No, you can't, and I'll prove it. Gain 5 pounds right now.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, just like right now,
Yeah. Okay.
spontaneously gain 5 pounds.
I'm holding my backpack.
Ah, see, this is the important thing. You are not controlling your weight. You are controlling things that impact your weight. They are not the same. If I want to lose weight, I can do things that will probably impact my weight and make it go the way I want to go. But I can't guarantee the result is going to be exactly what I want, right? Like I can control my calories, I can count my calories, but sometimes water retention will pop up and I won't lose weight. Sometimes it's just the way
Mm.
my body works. Like I'll think about chocolate cake and gain 5 pounds. Like, what? I didn't do anything. Like I can't.
Yeah.
The weight is the thing that I want to control that I can't. The things that I can control are things that impact my weight. Emotions are the same. They are reactions. I cannot control my emotions. If somebody punches me in the face, I'm going to feel stuff. And it's not going to be a feeling that I choose. It's going to be a reaction to something that happened. Now, I can choose what to do with that emotion. That's in my control, but I cannot control the emotion itself. I can control things that impact the emotion. So, to go with the idea of controlling weight, if I want to make myself happy, I can go get a hot dog from 7-Eleven, which a lot of people will think is gross and you're bad and wrong because hot dogs from 7-Eleven are the best. Also, not a sponsor. But I can go and get that hot dog and eat it, but I cannot guarantee that the hot dog will make me happy. It's an attempt to influence my emotion through something I can control, but I cannot guarantee the end result. Therefore, the emotion remains outside of my control.
Which is why people chase after things that they want to make them happy, and their brain is saying, "Do this, it'll be better," and it doesn't work. It becomes incredibly frustrating.
Hmm. And that could be, I mean, like drug usage, drinking, any kind of addiction, really, an attempt to try and control emotions. Watching a sad movie to try and control your emotions, listening to sad songs because you want to cry, watching a funny movie to laugh. These are all things we do to try and control our emotions. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to control our emotions by controlling things that impact our emotions. Again, though, because we can't guarantee the outcome, we cannot say we are in control of our emotions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we're just working on secondary effects then in the
Yes.
periphery.
Now, there's an implication there.
Yes.
Yeah.
One question that I had from somebody that I've had to give a lot of thought to in my early years was, happiness exists. Well, that was what she asked was, what is the point then? Why do we have sadness? It doesn't drive me to do anything. Sadness pulls me away from everybody. It pulls me away from action. So sadness just makes me stop everything and I become a bowl of oatmeal. Why? What is the point?
Who doesn't love oatmeal?
Yeah, it actually was like I don't know. We had to explore that for a while with her, but I had to think about it a lot, which is part of why I really like this job is that it sticks with me at after work sometimes. Um,
Hmm.
I think honestly the point was that it is supposed to pull you away from action. If sadness makes you rest and recover, um, makes you find meaning, and that takes some time to meditate, then you have to be sad in order to pull away from people. Or pulling away when you're sad pulls other people with you, and it builds connection. Pulling away from people may pull them towards you, and so you start to build stronger connections with people because of sadness. That could actually be a function of it.
Hmm.
Whereas people who are happy believe that, well, I can't say everybody, but it's easy to think that when you're happy, it exists. It's like what do you call it? Self-validating. Your happiness is okay because it exists. Everyone wants to be happy. There's no reason to be happy. It has no function other than to be itself.
It's interesting. I've said this several times before. Your approach to mental health and my approach to mental health is so just philosophically different, and not in a bad way at all. Because I hear, what's the point of being sad? And like, well, because it helps you know that you're human. It reminds you of the imperfections that exist
Mm-hmm.
in life. And this is why it's so important to understand that you can't control your emotions, because if you can't control your emotions, then it's not a failure to feel certain emotions.
What you're saying then is then there is no pragmatic. There doesn't have to be a pragmatic function of emotion. Emotion
Yeah, I
just
think
means
emotion exists outside of purpose. On a purely intellectual, pragmatic level, yes, I would agree with that. I think emotions do serve a purpose, but the emotion is not the purpose, right? I think the emotion is a reaction that pushes you towards something, or that highlights a need or a value system, for sure. But I kind of view it like there are facts in the world that we interact with. In our reality, how we interact with those facts generates emotions. Uh, Sports is a great example where my Dodgers hat. If the Dodgers win, I am happy because I feel good about that. If the Dodgers beat the Astros, I'm super happy. Now, an Astros fan might be really upset. The facts haven't changed, right? They just have a different value to each of us. And so we now know we have a reinforced value system through our emotions. We have connection with other people who feel the same emotions. Their sadness and our sadness, or their happiness and our happiness, become like, you remember when you're in grade school and you made clay
yeah.
sculpture, whatever, they had you score the edges before shoving them
Hmm.
together. Emotions, like, it's like Velcro for vulnerability. You have the same emotional experience as I do. We're now connected in that emotion. We're people. We have community and connection.
But only because I can identify those emotions in myself. And you're saying that we tie together because we're similar.
Support for the Emotional Men podcast comes from McCarrey Counseling.
There have been several times that I've needed some mental health guidance, and I've found it through places like McCarrey Counseling, stationed out of Round Rock, Texas, but also licensed in Washington State. McCarrey Counseling has helped hundreds of people, much like myself, get better footing on their own mental health.
That was a solid ad read, Pete. You just
Well,
made that
thank
up
you
off
very
the
much.
top of your head.
Thank you.
Yeah, you'd think you weren't even talking about me. What a good guy you are. I think what people do a lot of, which I wish they didn't do quite as much of, is they will use their emotions to justify actions and choices. I'm angry, therefore, right?
Yeah.
And we see this a lot, certainly in popular online culture, if nowhere else. But, people, I'm angry, I'm passionate, therefore I'm right, and I'm justified in what I'm about to do. No, not really. The anger you feel doesn't exist within morality, but what you do with it absolutely does.
Mm-hmm.
If I get angry at my wife and I go home and show that anger by like taking scissors to all of her favorite dresses and ruining them, that's a terrible thing to do.
Yeah.
Objectively, I have done something wrong and bad. The thing is, the anger wasn't the problem. It was what I did with the anger that is the problem. If I get angry and I call my kids terrible names, it's not, the anger isn't the problem. Calling my kids terrible names is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I work with people around emotions, it really is that kind of thing where you talked about separating the emotion from the action. It feels like a really quick jump. Like, here's the emotion, holding my hand up. Here's the thing. They meet right in the middle with that clapping, and then therefore they're both moving together now.
Mm.
But if you can make it so that it hits the thing, your anger hits the emotion, or goodness gracious, I'm killing it today, Pete. Your anger hits the action and you can stop it from immediately going off. You now have control. You have control over what people will say. You have control over your emotions, but what they're really saying is you have more control over how you react to your emotions. It's such an important thing for people to understand. I would say it is bedrock, foundational to any kind of mental health that you work with people around. You cannot control your emotions. Your emotions do not make you good or bad. What you do with your emotions makes them good or bad. Step one,
Mm-hmm.
let's remove your emotions and just make your peace with the fact that you feel what you feel. Step two, what would you like to do with your emotions?
Yeah, and I'll have people, well, even me, I can feel like I get so reactive to a certain scenario or to a certain stimulus, and I get reactive and I look around and everyone else seems fine, but I feel this strong reaction, and knowing that there's a space between my reaction or my feeling and my behavior. There's a space between
Mm-hmm.
there. I may think to myself, wow, I am really reactive to this thing and it's a burden. Everyone else is fine, but I seem to be reactive to this thing. What is wrong with me? And then I go and find
Mm.
out that why am I so reactive to this particular stimulus? Your emotions may seem like a burden. because I must have some kind of disorder because my emotions are so strong. And yes, I know there's a space between my emotions and my behaviors, but man, I wish those emotions weren't there because they are so strong and they come up like a wave inside of me. And it may be
Mm-hmm.
that even naming a problem, you say, "Wow, what's another problem?" Let's say like someone looks at you the wrong way. Someone seems dismissive of you, and you say good morning and they turn away, and that just boom sends you to 10 right away.
Mm-hmm.
If you can say, "Wow, I'm really reactive to being dismissed." That's just me. That's my thing. Some people, it's like what we talked about, our 80/20. That may be part of my 20. When I get
Mm-hmm.
dismissed by somebody, I feel um, put down. I get so emotionally reactive. And so I know that's going to happen. I know that's part of me. That's just something I put away. Just naming it may be therapeutic. You don't necessarily have to treat it.
I can hear somebody thinking right now, and I guess I hear myself thinking right now. But I can imagine someone hearing this and going, okay, freaking cool guys. If emotions are outside of our control, why do people tell me to breathe when I'm angry?
Mm,
What is the purpose of trying to control my anger if anger's outside of my control, as an example? Or why do people
okay.
try and tell me to calm
Well,
down?
if I may interject here, there was a study done in earlier this year. This is the title of the study, and it hits on a lot of things you just talked about. The title of the
Mhm.
study is Effects of Online Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction. Talked about MBSR before. Effects of Online Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction Training on,
Vividly
yeah,
exquisite.
well, that's John Kabat-Zinn. He developed it, and he's, fancy pantsy. On
Yes.
depression and anxiety symptoms among psychiatric healthcare workers in a randomized control trial, the mediating role of emotional suppression. So we've been talking a lot about emotional control, which I
Hmm.
think in the literature is reflected as emotional suppression. When we talk about
Mm.
control, a lot of people see that as a positive thing and like, oh, you're just clenching everything up, when really that's suppression. In this study of emotional suppression, there were 74 participants involved in MBSR and 61 on the wait list, and they used something called the Court-Lawed Scale of Emotional Control, which is also a misnomer because it's emotional suppression, as we've talked about. This is
Hmm.
this is something interesting the researchers
And real
discovered.
quick,
Yeah.
when you say emotional suppression, just so we're all on the same
Yeah.
page, what you're really referring to is suppressing reaction to emotion,
Yes. Yeah.
not the emotion
Exactly.
itself.
Yeah.
Expression of emotion.
So what they would do is in this emotional control scale, they present scenarios to somebody. It's a standardized control, so it's a measurement device that's been standardized and validated. But they say, given this scenario, how do you think you react, or what is your reaction? It was on a 1 to 4 scale, basically your
Hmm.
reaction to it. And this is what they quoted. Or I'm taking 2 quotes from the paper here. Emotional suppression reduced emotional expression behavior, but did not reduce the psychological experience of emotion and even exacerbated adverse psychological and physiological reactions to emotion.
Hmm.
So, if I can tailor this down, it says emotion, feeling,
I really appreciate
yeah,
it.
um, pretending you don't have feelings or clenching your fists at your side didn't make the feelings go away. In fact, it might even make them worse.
Hmm.
The next quote,
Because then there's this like sense of like I can't control this. What's wrong with me?
yes,
And it just escalates
they
everything.
they called it adverse psychological and physiological
Hmm.
reactions. And the next quote says, the individual's inhibition and non-acceptance of negative emotions might lead to the persistence of negative emotions. Eventually,
Send out the word, Pete.
so yeah, it's a big word. Eventually leading to emotional disorders. So the individual's inhibition and non-acceptance of negative emotions might lead to the persistence of negative emotions, eventually leading to emotional disorders. That's a big, I think them predicting emotional disorders is kind of might be a leap, but otherwise, in their findings, which actually had a degree of confidence of like 99%, 99.9%. The P was 0.001. Anyway, basically, if you stuff it down, it doesn't get any better. In fact, it might just make things worse. That's from
Yes.
that's from a study of 135 people. This is interesting because it's a randomized controlled trial. It's not like a survey or it's not like a longitudinal study. This is you separate two groups of people and you give them a test and you give them treatment, and then you see how the ends at the end how they both fare. And the people with
Hmm.
who did mindfulness based stress reduction had the highest difference in emotional expression and suppression. Like they became more expressive, which led to reduced depression and reduced anxiety.
Yeah. So let's talk real quick about what it means to have a somatic experience and a psychological experience of
Yeah.
emotion. Because I think when you talk about mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR, the thing that's happening is you are working with your body's expressed or your body's expression of the emotion to try and reduce the impact of the emotion on the body, right? So like if I get really angry, my heartbeat goes up, I'm breathing faster. If I can slow my breathing down, the natural processes of the body will actually slow down everything else. And because they kind of feed off of each other, what you're doing is you're taking fuel out of the fire. It's again not that you're controlling the emotion when you're doing these mindfulness techniques, the breathing, the focusing, all these things. All you're really doing is you're looking at a raging fire and you're going, I'm going to go ahead and just like take some of this fuel out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because our emotion, our psychological experience of the world and our somatic experience of the world, our bodily felt experience of the world are really, really close and they feed off of each other really, really well. If you can change the one, you can change the other. You can't guarantee the outcome, but you can definitely impact them.
Yep.
And since we cannot control the psychological experience of emotion, we can't control what emotions rise up. Our focus is almost exclusively on changing the somatic experience of the emotion. And I say almost exclusively because a lot of the work that I do is like helping people be at peace with the fact that they have emotions in general. Well, I don't like that I'm mad. Cool, you're a human being, so like get used to it
Yeah.
in a much nicer way, of course.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what the
But
goal
putting
is.
some space between that, between feeling and doing, I think is what MBSR does. Imagine if, imagine, imagine if you're walking into your house and your son has built a bonfire in the living room, and you know that you have a fire extinguisher in the kitchen. And so you can imagine that you would scream, you would jump and shout, make sure, and run into the kitchen to get the fire extinguisher while this fire is starting to burn up the wall, and you're scrambling for the kids and whatever. There'd be very little time between seeing the fire and acting on the fire. There's
Hmm.
very little time. But there is a time. There's an assessment period when you look at that fire and you realize what has happened. Now imagine walking into the house and seeing that your wife has made you a birthday cake with candles lit, and you scream and jump and shout and you run and get the fire extinguisher. There is a
I see you've been talking to my wife again.
I don't know how many candles you got. But
Shh.
in any case, there is an assessment period where you see something, you evaluate it, and then you act on it. And so I always said, well, I talk about trauma. Trauma doesn't know the difference between a bonfire and a birthday cake. It's
Hmm.
going to react the same way to either stimuli. And if you think that there is no distance, then you are going to freak out whenever you see a fire in your house. Every time you see a birthday cake. So there is a period of
Yeah.
time. There is an assessment period. Uh,
Absolutely. I like that a lot. I'm going to probably steal that. The trauma doesn't know the difference between a birthday cake and a bonfire. That's really good.
I think
Good job,
well,
Pete.
thanks, but I think I stole it from someone else.
Oh, screw you, Pete.
Yeah,
You're a waste of a human being.
I'm a huge fraud. Yeah, you'll find that most therapists are fraud, stealing good the terms from each other.
Mister, I'm getting a PhD. Like we
Yeah,
care.
oh no, man, this is a huge difference going from clinical work to a PhD. A lot of times, when I ask about clinical specifics about what we're studying, they're like, get your mind out of that. We're worried about research. Like what one person meant by their response doesn't matter. We have their input as part of a huge research project.
Oh,
Yeah,
that makes me feel
exactly.
very sad in my
Well, they
heart.
don't have time. They can't research like you put a 4 and you put a 3. What's the difference between those? Like they just take it.
I've thought about getting a PhD at one point, and I joke about being too stupid to do it. I don't think that's actually the case. I think what it really came down to for me is like the idea of having all these things just be data instead
Yeah.
of pragmatic, it kills me. Like, why are we studying this if not to help
There,
people? If it's
yep.
just to understand,
We have
what are
approached
we
that.
doing?
We've talked as a class, and our teachers talk about the resistance of. Well, I'm in social work, so we have the social workers are down in the trenches, and the terminal degree is a master's degree, and so they're the ones doing all the work, and they see PhDs as like these ivory tower theorists. Like we'll look down on you
Mm,
and tell you what you should be doing, and they look up and go, "Okay, yeah, well, I got to go get these kids out of this crack house. You do you." And so they don't really care what we develop as theory. And so we
hmm
have to approach that. Like we have to say what we're doing is important because like anyway.
It's fascinating stuff. I mean, there's no two ways around it. Um, but yeah, that has always been my difficulty with academia around mental health. I
Hmm.
don't think that mental health is a science. I really don't. I think it's an art with scientific principles. Certainly, being a clinician is not a scientific endeavor. That is
That is an
total
art.
field.
Yeah, it really is. Um
It is art. I'm an artiste,
yeah,
Peter. An
mental health
artiste.
artist. Don't tell the military that I said that, but I do think it's so individualized that it's borders on art. Um
Yeah, I have some bad news for you. We're recording this to literally release it to the world. They might find out.
oh, that's all right. Yeah, taken my
Yeah.
career in my hands several times, unfortunately. Um,
Oh,
so there were,
how fun for you.
yeah, it was not fun. I have made, I've made mistakes, but I'm happy that I learned from them. Um,
Hmm.
there was another study in 2019, 6 years ago, and it was a longitudinal study. They took nearly 5,000 Swedish men and they followed them in the military over the course of 38 years.
Hmm.
And they found that what they called, these are their terms, lower emotional control in late adolescence was associated with higher rates of suicide. So
Hmm.
that's why I think definitions were really important when we started off here, because I see this study that says, hey, they need more emotional control, because if you don't have emotional control, you're at risk for behavioral problems. This is how they measured emotional control um, when they were signed up. They are interviewed with a team of trained psychologists, and then they were asked certain scenarios that they would feel certain reactions to. And then the psychologist would subjectively assign them on a scale of 1 to 5 based on the conscript's responses. The team of psychologists had good inter-rater reliability, which meant that they agreed with each other, like that they
Hmm.
didn't vary a lot between each other. But I think the testing method had some to be desired. The first study we talked about used a standardized and validated test, the Courtauld scale of emotional control. This one was more like we'll have a talk with you, and then we'll give you a number of what we think that what your emotional control is on a 1 to 5 scale. It was not validated. It wasn't standardized. It was kind of like what these psychologists thought. When we talk about emotional control,
Riveting.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I get into this. It's exciting for me. It's exciting for me. So lower emotional.
Sorry.
Gosh, yeah, you can see. I see you on screen, and I can kind of see your eyes
She's
glaze
like watching
over.
me.
Yeah, and you get the five
I'm
thousand
here for
yard
it, Pete.
scare.
I
Stare.
hit.
Oh
It's
man.
no, no, no. I think it's interesting. I think it's fascinating. And if I'm being honest with myself, I no, actually, no, I'll be fully honest with you. What I'm really finding surprising to me is that you giving these studies, I actually use them in my clinical work,
Really?
which kills me. The number of times I've told people in the last 2 weeks about perfectionism being a response to traumatic childhood,
Oh yeah.
it, I'm like, Pete, you got me again. Dang it.
See, research is important, people. Research is important. I'll say it again.
Yeah. Uh, Research.
Research is important. That's right. So just take it with a grain of salt and add it to your art form.
There.
Yeah. In any case,
Okay, keep going with this science.
all right. Emotional control, higher emotional control, which we are not advocating in terms of control. We're saying you express it appropriately. But this study said if you have better emotional control, you're less likely for behavioral issues. Now, I believe that their term of emotional control was perhaps more in line with our term of emotional expression. if you don't express yourself unreasonably and you can express yourself reasonably, you're actually lower risk.
Hmm.
Because if someone asked
Hmm.
me, like, if they gave him scenarios that involve depression and anxiety, like you have a dog for 10 years and your dog passes away, what level of depression would you feel? And someone who's like, wow, I'd be really sad. That's like a 5 out of 5 for me. I'd need to take a day off work. They'd be like, oh, you don't have a lot of emotional control. Well, no, that doesn't really mean that. I'd say they need to rate me on my emotional expression. Are you gonna, eat Cheetos and watch TV, binge watch NCIS for 2 days?
Absolutely.
Noth-
You and I are on the same page on that. And I kind of wish that we were doing releasing video of this so that you can see the faces I was making while you were talking. Just
Yeah,
like, what? Ugh.
yeah,
It's a terrible. A lot of this is, I think you said this in a couple episodes back, therefore what? Kind of like the scientific way of saying, who cares? Who gives a
yeah,
crap, right?
yeah.
The implication of this, I think, is pretty profound in that, again, not to beat a dead horse, but let me get out my baseball bat and find this poor Mr. Ed on the floor over here. You cannot control your emotions. You can control what you do with your emotions. You can control things that impact your emotions, but the emotion itself remains now and forever something you cannot control. And therefore, it cannot be something you judge yourself with because it's not something you chose. Sometimes people have really big emotional reactions and they're not expecting to, don't want to, and they go, "Oh, what's wrong with me?"
Yeah, that's not okay.
Nothing's wrong with
Yeah.
you.
A whole lot of
You're a human being.
not okay. Like, not okay. This is not okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's super not fair to do to yourself.
mhm,
If you're feeling down, you're feeling down. What do you want to do with it? That's so much more of an interesting question. There's so much more room to move
mhm.
and grow
And
and
or not do with it. If you say, well, what do you want to do with it? That might demand I have to do something. Well, maybe you don't. Maybe you don't want to
exactly.
do nothing with it.
And that's the choice you get to make. And there are consequences for every choice you make. And I don't want to make it sound like anything other than that. If you choose not to do something with it, if you feel sad and you just give into it, which I advocate for sometimes,
Hmm.
honestly, I know the mental health days are a thing. There are days I'm like, I can't do this. I need a day off. I need to breathe. There's nothing inherently wrong with that.
Hmm.
Now, if my job is to be like an ER doc and people will die, I need to make sure there are things in place to cover for me if I need to take that time off. But even then, like there's ways to give in to the emotion without meaning that everything has to fall apart. If you cannot ever stop to feel your emotions, you will crash and burn. It's going to happen. It's not even a question. I tell people all the time, like, when was the last time you got mad at your car when you were at the gas station putting gas in it? 9 times out of 10, people are like, no, you got to stop the car. You got to turn it off. You've got to get out. You got to put the thing in. You got to wait for the car to fill up, and then
Yeah.
you can get in and go. We're like that. Sometimes you have to stop. You've got to stop. You've got to
Hmm.
refill. You've got to wait for the refilling to go into effect. Then you can move on with your day. Emotions can make people feel like they're not allowed to do that. And then like, why am I running on empty? Well, because you haven't stopped.
Hmm.
Because you're giving this story to yourself, this lesson of failure, because you need
Because you
room
need
for your
fuel.
emotions.
Yeah. So
Now,
there's
there's a really important. Go ahead, you first.
well, the way that the first study mentioned it was your non-acceptance of negative emotions. And I guess that's an academic way of saying, like, what I'm feeling is not okay. I do not accept this negative emotion as existing. This is not
Mhm.
acceptable. I cannot be sad. This cannot exist. That's way different than saying, I'm really sad and I wish I wasn't. But to say this cannot exist, I do not accept this negative emotion. That's like, I don't know. That's like trying to run on a broken
It's like
foot, you know?
exactly. It's like I can't accept this thing that is intrinsically part of who I am.
Yeah, exactly.
You have, I mean, like you don't. I guess you don't have to. I don't.
Yeah.
You do a lot better if you do, though. Like the truth of the matter is, you feel
Well,
something.
that's the premise of my midlife crisis going on right now. Is I do not accept getting older
Is that why you got that neck tattoo?
cannot
Big
happen.
neck
No, it's
tattoo.
my tramp stamp. No, no, just kidding. No, I'm no, no. Ugh, ugh, Gosh. No, anyway, More midlife crisis. I do not accept. I cannot accept that this is happening. Therefore, it is not happening. Whereas reality keeps marching on.
And I, just for the sake of just getting into this just a little bit, I want to say how hard that is to really do. Like, I don't want to make it sound like because we're therapists, we have all this figured out. Dude, therapists are messy people just like the rest of
Radical,
everybody else.
radical
And
acceptance
like,
is
there are
hard.
times, yeah, it's really hard. Like, my joints hurt in ways that I don't want them to. I haven't been able to play the guitar for 3 months. Like, if you know me as a person, hearing me say that is like shocking. It sucks, but I have
Mm.
to accept the fact that if I play guitar, I'm going to hurt myself, which is like the most old man thing I've ever said in my entire life. But it's true. It's just I have to treat
Oh
my body
man.
with respect. I have to admit that it has limitations now. And I did go and see a doctor and I'm finding a solution. And I wish I could have done it a little
But
faster.
if you did not
Um,
accept that your hand was hurt, you didn't go to see the doctor, and you played through it, that would have
oh yeah.
consequences.
There's my favorite band, especially when I was a kid, is this band Incubus, and the guitar player Mike Einziger saved rock and roll for me. He's
Oh,
really I anyway, a different rant for a different day. He gave himself carpal tunnel with a part that he wrote, and
wow.
it got to the point where he had to have surgery on it. And the reason he had to have surgery on it is because he physically couldn't play anymore. And so he had surgery, he got it taken care of, and then he couldn't play for another 2 or 3 months, and then he got back to it, and now he's able to play. He had a choice to make though. He could pretend
Yeah.
that it was just like him. Oh, I'm just being weak. I can't feel this. I can't afford to literally his livelihood. I can't afford to feel this, so I won't. So I'm gonna ignore it. And if he had done that, his career would have been over. Game over. What a loss that would have been too. They put out some good music since then.
Well, good for him for being able to
Hot take.
accept his carpal tunnel.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so like for me, I kind of learned from that. If Mike Einziger can accept he has carpal tunnel, then I can accept that my hand kind of hurts
Wow,
too.
thanks, Mike.
Yeah, what a good boy.
Yeah,
What a good
I got a
what
lot
a
of great
good boy.
gratitude today, Mike, Andrew, Jeff.
Good boy, Mike Einziger, who has a master's degree in composition from Harvard,
Holy
talking down to him like,
cow!
yeah, yes, yes. A lot of people like Incubus, really? Oh, dude, you don't even know, man. The ridiculous musicianship in that band.
Wow, that is
I will die on that hill. I will die on that hill.
okay. Okay, no one's challenging you.
Back off. Um, so I think there is an important next step to this, which is kind of teeing up the next episode we're going to do. But that is, if I can't control my emotions and they are morality free, I definitely cannot control other people's emotions
Mm.
and they are also morality free. If someone is mad at me, there's a problem I need to address potentially with that person. Sure, their emotion is not my thing to deal with. I'm not responsible for their emotions. I can't be responsible for their emotions. If they can't control their emotions, I absolutely cannot be expected to control their emotions for them. This,
Ooh.
if bedrock is I can't control my emotions, the foundation that goes on top of the bedrock is I can't control your emotions either.
Oh man, so many thoughts here. So the first off is pop culture, but there's a point in the Joker where um, Joaquin Phoenix, he does a great job, but he in the Joker realizing that he can't be hurt, all of society downplaying him and discrediting him and demeaning him. At a certain point, he's like, "Wow, they can't really hurt me," and he can go crazy. And like, "Wow, they really can't do anything." There's like a separation between their his feelings and their impact. So that's my first feeling is that there's a
It's like Heath Ledger in the Dark Knight, where it's like all that power and you can do nothing.
yes,
You have nothing on me.
exactly. You got nothing on me. What, you're gonna hurt my body? I don't know what that does. And then second was honestly one of my deepest dive into psychological philosophy was a gift from Taylor and years ago.
I just I just made a face like, what did I what?
Yes, you gave me a book that has hurt my head several times since then. It was
Oh, Psychology and the Other.
yes, by Levinas, Psychology and the Other. So I dive into Levinas's concept of the other,
Well, real
but this will
quick,
tie into the other
Psychology
one.
and the Other is not by Levinas. This is an
Oh yeah,
important
yeah.
thing. Psychology, yeah, it's about Levinasian philosophy, but it is not written by
Right.
Levinas.
So they went and he was actually confused why they would take his philosophy and apply it to psychology or something like that. He was like, they approached him and
Which
he
is
was like, yeah,
amazing.
he was like, okay, if you want to, but whatever. Anyway, the idea that like the other, as I am the self, and anyone else that is outside of me is the other, and the
Hmm.
other is is not completely knowable, and I have a responsibility to the
Hmm.
other morally.
Infinitely unknowable, in
It's
fact.
infinitely
Not
unknowable.
only not knowable, but infinitely
That's
unknowable.
right. Oh man, that just gets me because as a therapist, you want to understand somebody. So this philosophy of like you will have to investigate for eternity, and you still will not fully get somebody. You will never get
Hmm.
them totally.
Which I love. And I got to say right now, like two or three professors of mine who will definitely never listen to this podcast, but if they were to listen to this podcast, would be like,
Yeah.
yes, spreading the good word.
um,
The face of the other calls to me and I respond to it.
yes,
Yeah,
exactly. And
absolutely.
I find that to be true in practice. The theory is new, but the more I think about it, I'm like, wow, if I see somebody, if I interact with their person, there's like a call, almost like a, I don't know, in French, the call of the void almost. Um,
That's an interesting comparison. Like the idea of jumping into eternal nothingness and
yes,
embracing it.
yes,
Huh.
yes, exactly. So that's another psychological phenomenon where if you're standing on the edge of a cliff and you think to yourself, I wonder what it'd be like to jump off. That's actually that's a thing. That's a phenomenon that happens. It's not your suicidal. It's called the call of the void. It's just something that happens to humans. But there's a bit of that when I interact with somebody that calls me to them. And I think to tie into our next episode, there has to be a separation like Joker and like Levinas says that you and I are separated. Oh wow, yeah. Sorry.
I love that you just compared Emmanuel Levinas with the Joker.
The
This man who
psychological
dedicated
Joker.
himself to understanding humanity, and this man who went insane and decided killing people was the best
Hey,
response.
in Joker's defense, he understood humanity pretty well too.
Oh, hot take Pete coming in hot.
Yeah, prove me wrong in the comments.
Easily.
Yeah.
Oh, that you just imagine the if anybody actually cared, the comments that would
Yeah.
come from
Yeah.
that.
I've studied Levinas my whole life, and I've seen the movie once, and I can tell you why they're not the same.
Oh, dude, they're not. Oh, that anyway. Sorry, please keep going. That just made me
No,
laugh.
I'm sorry. The separation between self and other is what's important here. The separation between self and
Yeah,
other. And so if you're talking about controlling someone, that would be laughable in that context.
yeah, controlling someone else's emotions for sure. I mean, like you know, if I see I burped again, what is wrong with me, Pete? I just keep on
Just
burping.
lucky.
It's like I'm drinking a sparkling beverage right
Just
now.
lucky, I guess.
Um, it's all for you, Pete. Um, this idea of I can control somebody else's circumstances. You know, abusive relationships absolutely exist, and you know, emotional control is again, I can control things that impact your emotions, but the emotion itself. We're getting there's a lot of nuance here, right? Like what I'm not saying is like if you're in an abusive relationship, the other person can't be responsible for how you feel. They're absolutely responsible for what they do to you. You know, just so we're really, really clear
Yeah.
here. If I'm being abusive to somebody and they are sad because of the abuse, can I make them feel that way? Technically, no, but I am 1000% responsible for the things I do that contribute to their emotions. The things that I do, right? I'm responsible for my actions that come from my emotional place. Their emotion is one thing. I do 1000% bear responsibility for the negative things I do to them and how it
Yes.
impacts
Which
them.
is
Just so we're really
which
clear.
is why being assaulted because of things you say is such a big deal. I can say something that
Uh-huh.
I know will make Taylor very, very angry. And I also know that Taylor will just shake his head at me and maybe insult me and then go on. Like there's not I and then I'm responsible completely for being the jerk, not him. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah, it'd be
Um,
anyway, sorry.
I think that um, so maybe we should tee up what the next time we're going to talk about, what we're planning on talking about. Because the idea was today we were going to talk about how to fight. And as we were getting ready for it, I reached out to Pete and I said, it might be worth talking about the impossibility of controlling
Yeah.
our own emotions and other people's emotions to prepare us for what we can and cannot do when we're fighting. And I don't mean like fist fighting. I'm talking about like arguing with a spouse, advocating for yourself at work, having a falling out with a friend. Basically, any relationship where there's some kind of conflict. Next time, we're going to talk about how to navigate that conflict with like concrete steps.
Yeah.
But this needed to exist beforehand, where my goal in having a fight with somebody or fighting with somebody cannot be to make them feel a certain way about what I feel, because it's an impossible task, a literal impossible task.
All right. That makes sense to me. We're not. It's so hard because meaningful relationships where you care about maintaining the relationship is so different from the relationships we see on TV, where a debate is meant to convince people who are listening, not to convince the other person. The debate is meant to sway emotion, and so they try very hard to be very inflammatory and try to get you to feel a certain way. Whereas if you're talking to your wife and you're trying to explain why you didn't,
or husband,
and trying to explain why a certain task is so important to you, you don't want to say things like, "You always do this. You never listen to me. Why do you hate me so much?" It's like
oh, dude, yeah.
that gets them feeling a certain way, but it doesn't solve the problem. So trying to make them feel a certain way. Anyway, sorry, I'm delving into the other thing, but that's I think the difference.
Yeah, and we'll absolutely be talking about that more next time. But so how you doing, Pete? Did I do it? Did I convince you can't control your emotions?
Oh, I knew already. You were preaching to the choir.
Dang it!
The whole weight thing was new to me, though. I thought for sure I've been trying hard to like go running and stuff, and thinking to myself, I can't control my weight. I can only control my run. That was a good thing. I like that.
Yeah, dude.
It's been
so we haven't. Go ahead.
Nothing. I was just going to close it up. I say I love you and love talking to you. Yeah. Man, you sound like
why? What's not to love? I'm super. I give you space.
Yeah, you talk like a peanuts adult.
Before we get into our professions of undying love, how do people get in touch with us, Pete?
Oh, please email us, emotionalmenpc@gmail.com.
We also have, apparently we're live on Apple and Spotify and YouTube.
That was a funny text I got yesterday. Oh, by the way, Pete,
oops, I didn't mean to do that. But feel free to comment on stuff there. We'll read the comments. Send us emails. Profess your undying hatred for us, and we'll understand that your emotions are yours and we cannot control them.
Emails are behaviors.
Yes, that's right. As always, Pete, it is really lovely seeing you.
Yes, it's wonderful talking to you, Taylor. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too, man. Hey, Pete. I love you.
Oh, love you too. Bye.
See you. Bye.